and welcome to Add More Zest. My name's Rebecca, also known as 4Kids at 147, and I am working on my Oraloa Fox Mama. So we uncovered quite a bit of this sort of section down here last time, so I have finished that up. I have also done quite a bit of this over here. Mainly I was concentrating last night mainly around sort of finishing up her hairline when I was working on it, but then there was also little bits of orange in here too, so I ended up uncovering quite a bit to sort of save that in and out of the pot all the time. So I thought, do you know what, because this is the way I seem to be working with this painting, and it does always vary from painting to painting. Some of them I do find I need to concentrate in quite a little bit more and maybe do smaller sections. But in this one, I find I end up having like this little bit of blue here, but then it's repeated over here, and I'd rather get both of them. So I thought, let's just uncover the big section. I don't expect this to be a long whip and waffle at all, not to the same extent as the last couple of weeks have been, because I did get caught up with comments. So it really sort of, I think I'm going to go a little bit by how long the comments last. Now, depending on when you leave comments will depend on which week they will sort of, which Sunday whip and waffle they will fall into. But at the moment, sorry, Barbara couldn't tell you what she decided to bark at. We'll see if that stops. I can't even remember what I was saying. So yes, I have uncovered a big section. It is sort of the way I find I work this way more with rounds than I do with squares. Now, whether that be because the round diamonds are slightly bigger, I can get away with slightly larger sections, and then in turn I push that to even bigger sections. Or maybe it is just the way this painting's sort of going at the moment, because I didn't do it as much in the beginning. The painting didn't sort of have just a little bit and then a little bit the other side quite as much, or at least the part that I was doing was bigger, so it didn't feel like they were as close together. But yeah, it's just a little bit of a different way of doing it, maybe than my more focused in section that I do with my walking in the rain. But I thought, let's just go with it, because this is how I had it last night before I decided to sort of stop. Was I actually had the whole strip uncovered, just to get these little bits at the edges that are repeated over near the beginning. So there might be a little bit of sliding back and forth while I get most of, I'll try and get all of these. I'm more than likely going to miss sections and miss diamonds when I do this, but it's not a guaranteed getting a diamond pot out twice or three times that it would be when I'm dividing it up. This is going to be one of the ones I'm going to end up missing. This is the number 4, but I feel like this is the tuck-in symbol on all of these, so this is the next best one to do, but it gets very, very bitty the further on that I go. So we'll see how it goes. I know there is at least one person who likes to see if I've missed any symbols or while watching my videos, so let's give Kim some entertainment, and she can shout at the screen for ones that I've missed while I'm doing it this way on this painting. So scoot it over a little bit. It's when it throws them inside sections like this that I'm more likely to miss them, because I'm sort of looking around the edges, because it's a bit of a edge highlighter, this grey one. But anyway, I hope everybody is having an amazing weekend, whatever it is you may be doing. We have a couple of DIY plans for this weekend. Not big things, just little things, replacing window locks and things, I think is our main thing for this weekend. We're trying to sort of tick a few little bits off the would like to do list. Some of them we may need to get people in for. Some of them we may be able to do ourselves. So yeah, we're going to give it a go. And then if we need to do other parts like hinges and locks, we may get somebody in for them. But yeah, that is our plan. Who knows when this goes up if that plan would have been successfully executed. Time will tell. Maybe if I remember between videos, I will give you an update on it next week. But yeah, comments, etc. Crystal, she says, hi Rebecca and Zesties. She says she has to say she likes that Luna is in this video. She says it feels like we're just sitting down diamond painting at your house. Well, that's a good job, because we started off this video very well, did we not? I feel like some days it can go completely different to others in relation to sort of how much barking there is or isn't. It's very much hit and miss. So I've decided, see look, there's a number one I've missed already. I've decided I'm very much sort of going with the flow with it. And every now and then I may need to stop, pause, etc. Especially with my WIP and waffles, more so with my WIP and waffles or my longer ones. So dekittings, preparations, things like that that take longer to do, to film. I'm not going to worry as much over what's going on, say, in the background. But on the shorter, more concentrated videos, you know, where it is maybe just a 10 minute, I'm going to try and actually film those when things are definitely calmer, when she's maybe asleep on the couch. And that's when I might try and slip in and focus on a few shorter videos where the disruption is more of a disruption when it's a short video. But yeah, we'll see how things go. Okay. I've got a lot of those. I don't know if I've got them all. Say, I know I've definitely missed the number one already over here, but because it is so far over there, I'm not going to fill it in yet because I reckon I will end up with more. This is another filler symbol now as well. This is what I call my take that symbol. A T with an upside down T on the top of it. Because this is also sort of more of a shading and around things type symbol than a block of colour symbol. So yeah, she says real life, she says, instead of a filming studio. Yes, well, it's very much real life in this house. I know my last WIP and Waffle that I filmed for Thursday, you ended up with my washing cycle in the midst of that one, and I'm pretty sure there was one of those last week as well. So yeah, we do end up with those sort of daily things in a little bit more. I say I'm just going to go with the flow when it comes to WIP and Waffles, because as you say, we are chatting, we are sitting, we are waffling, and therefore the little sort of daily things that happen are a lot easier on the type of a WIP and Waffle. If you're sitting down and watching that type of video, it's more expected to happen in real life. So if it happens while I'm filming, which is still very much real life, it's easier to associate. And I'm just going to try and get some of my shorter videos timed to lunar agreeable time, which I never know when that may be. Sometimes, you know, I turn round from filming and I realise I've managed to waffle for an hour and there's not been a peep out of her, and she's fast asleep on the couch and loving life. Whereas now she is currently tucked on the floor, lay down on the rug in my craft room, poised to go and attack any noise that comes anywhere near us. So it could be a noisy one for a little bit. She says if that makes, she says she feels that the WIP and Waffles, she says she understands the studio side of filming for my other videos. She says, but the WIP and Waffles are our chatting time and are more personal. She says, if that makes sense to anybody else. That does make sense. And I am going to very much try, I think, with the WIP and Waffles to be, you know, more relaxed over stuff. Realise that I am going to be pausing more because it is a longer video and I can't just shut myself away for X amount of time and let somebody else deal with what's going on. Just because I am primarily the only one in the house. Occasionally my son is also in, but it's not guaranteed. And it soon, once he starts his new job, won't be guaranteed at all. So yeah, we're just going with the flow. But the work-life balance has definitely, these past 2 weekends, has been so nice. And I'm sure there'll be weekends where I potentially work just to feel like I've got caught up, but that'll be more for my benefit than because I have to. If that makes sense too. Sometimes it is the whether you want to or have to that can make a huge difference. She says Saturday being a barren wasteland, she said, is very true. She said she finds the first part of the week is also. She says, just a thought, she says, but since you are filming through the week, maybe film the WIP and Waffle the week before and schedule for a Monday or a Tuesday. She says that might help with launch weekend. What I was actually thinking originally, like I could move the WIP and Waffle to a Monday or a Tuesday, but then it's whether it would, you know, be, I suppose, those that do have the time to sit down at the weekend, whether they wouldn't have the longer videos to potentially watch or do something through the week. Often my filming schedule, roughly, and I do try to keep this rough because I do occasionally need to move things about, is Friday is normally some sort of unboxing. Sunday and Thursday are WIP and Waffles. And then it's often Monday, Tuesday that I have something else. Occasionally it's Monday, Wednesday, and occasionally Tuesday, Wednesday. And that can very much depend on what. So, for example, this last week it was Monday and Wednesday, and Tuesday was no video. But that was because Wednesday was my logbook, so I did it on the 1st of the month rather than doing it, you know, before. I normally do it as close to the beginning of the month as I can. Though now, say, I am filming in the week and it's more of a regular thing. So Sunday WIP and Waffles. Before I started doing a Thursday WIP and Waffle as well. So bear in mind, when I originally started the WIP and Waffles, there was just one of them. So a Sunday worked for me because it was pretty much always the first video that I filmed. And it was my catch up with you guys for the week. Like, that was my time frame. It was my catch up with everybody, you know, real-time sort of filming, more so than any other video. Albeit most of them are always sort of, they're not filmed too far in advance, but occasionally I can maybe get a video filmed a week in advance, depending on what it is. You know, dekitting, unboxing, sometimes I can film those a bit in advance. Things that weren't as time sensitive, or things that I put up a set amount of times throughout the month. But my whip and waffle was my catch-up time. So Sunday worked really well for that for me, because I would try and get my YouTube filming done on a Saturday, ideally. But if it didn't happen, if I was busy on the Saturday, I could film it first thing Sunday morning and get it uploaded still for 4 o'clock on a Sunday. So that was the reason I went for the Sunday. It was my little bit of grace to get the video up and uploaded. But now I have sort of changed things about with filming in the week, which I allocate 3 days. I don't often use 3 days, but I allocate 3 because some weeks, if I have less to do in the shop, I might try and get a few videos ahead of time. And then launch week, I've got a little bit more time in the shop, and I'm testing and moving things about occasionally. But yeah, I allocate 3 days. It normally only takes 2, depending on how long my whip and waffles are. Last week's did take 3 days, but that was because I put in another mammoth whip and waffle. And I had some really long other videos to do as well with my paint gem dekitting. So yeah, let me know. Like, I can quite easily move. Hang on, there's the door. That was Luna's dog food arriving. Just, you know, while we're chitty chatting, let you know what I got delivered. Oh, I think I've actually finished this one. I think maybe I managed to get the last one down, if I haven't missed any. So yeah, in relation to filming, the only other day that I sort of add in, so I do 5 videos a week. I found that is sort of my nice number of videos, should we say, that makes it a little bit more manageable, and also, you know, keeps the ideas flowing and things flowing to do for videos. So I've got 5 videos. 2 of those are whip and waffles, so I feel like they need to be spread out a bit, so that people can, you know, have time to finish watching one, especially if they have to watch it in parts before the next one goes up. I don't want people to feel like they're behind, so I do like having, you know, some of the potentially shorter ones mixed in with the longer ones, which is why I sort of split up my paint gem dekitting and kitting up across the weeks, because one of them is definitely sort of they're both longer videos. So mix them in with some potentially shorter ones. So yeah, let me know what 2 days work for you to not have videos up. How about we start with that? What 2 days to not have a video work for you guys? And maybe I can shuffle some of the whip and waffles around. June waffles coming up. So there will be a waffle a day throughout June. So maybe going into July will be the best time to sort of change the schedule, and yeah, shuffle a couple about. So let me know your ideal YouTube viewing pleasure, especially if it is barren, you know, on other sites that you watch. I'm more than happy to shuffle things so that they work, you know, so that you've got videos to watch each day. Because I will still be filming 5 a week, just, you know, when they're actually posted onto YouTube may change a little bit. So yeah, there'll be an unboxing, 2 whip and waffles, and then other. The only other thing to bear in mind, or that I need to bear in mind especially, is when I do the monthly shop launch video. Now I'm happy to sort of, you know, slip that in. Of course that slips in at the moment to a day that I don't post, and it's an extra video. But yeah, if we move the WIP and Waffle to Saturday, then maybe I need to move shop launch to Sunday, which would work, but then Sunday would need to be a day when I don't necessarily post up. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. Let's get it discussed in this WIP and Waffle, finalised, and then come July, I will, you know, have probably discussed my YouTube schedule to death with you all throughout WIP and Waffles and comments. And yeah, let's make it a discussion across these Sunday WIP and Waffles. What will be a good sort of YouTube schedule, and we'll have a little bit of a refresh after June Waffle and put things up for when you guys, you know, are going to be able to watch them and feel like you get, you know, sort of a nice array of videos to watch. So Pink Unicorn, she says the cover paper that ripped for her was actually last year's Autumn Leaves. I am so sorry about that. I don't know whether it was just something to do with the cutting process or the diamond painting that it was on. I've had I think one that sort of caught in a place, but I think I peeled it off too quick. So yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I do apologise if that's happened to yours. She also says she can't get used to me saying maiden. She says she's never heard it that way before. She says in her house it is a clothes horse. She's from Greater London area. Yeah, I think clothes horse is definitely more the used term down south compared to up north. I think maiden is more of an up north kind of thing, because, you know, us UK lot do occasionally have that wording divide between different parts of the country. But yeah, maiden, clothes horse, I just always call it the maiden. We know what we're talking about with maiden in this house. But I have lived up north for, you know, the higher, my older years. I lived down south till I was about 7. So it is the one that I'm a little bit more familiar with when it came to that point in my life of needing to use one. Dragon Sky, she says, woohoo. She says it's another big one. She said family time is so important, Rebecca. She says, hope you had a great birthday, which I did. Thank you. I did discuss that quite a bit in Thursday's WIP and Waffle, because that was the first one that I filmed following my birthday. So yeah, I did have an amazing time. She says, thank you for everything you do for us Zesties. Well, you guys are all more than welcome. I thoroughly enjoy it all. Right, I think I've got those. There's 2 symbols. They're not similar, but they're very... well, I suppose they are a little bit similar. One of them is the little tent symbol, and then this one that I'm doing, which is the upside down T. But because they're both quite solid, blocky colours, and they tend to be close to each other, it's the one symbol that just takes me a little bit of checking to make sure I've got it all. And I do have one of these to place over on that far side. So I'm actually going to leave this to this. I'm going to work backwards, which is confusing me. I feel like I should be working from left to right. So we'll see how this goes. Working from right to left with these symbols. I still find myself looking at a section from left to right as I move over. So even within this section, I'm looking the left hand side of it before I then go over to the right hand side and get this similar dark symbol in there. But there is only one of them over here. So as you can see, that's probably why it's things like that that make me prefer to do the sort of across the board spread at the same time, to save me missing or less likely to have to get out the same pot multiple times. Cat Lady, she says she hopes I enjoyed my birthday. Thank you. She said she carried tissues for the kids along with baby wipes. Baby wipes, they should never be underestimated. She says she still carries packs of tissues and people always look to her if they need one. There's a number 4 that I've missed. See, I knew this would happen, but hey ho. We're just helping Kim with her spot the missing diamonds. I wonder if she spotted that a lot sooner than I did. But I've got a number 4 up there that I missed. She says her husband has always carried a cloth handkerchief, but it has always been to clean his glasses. He uses tissues for his nose. It's one of those days. Somebody walked past the house. How dare they? On the public street, nonetheless. Yeah. Sorry, Cat Lady. So she said, yeah, hubby always carried a cloth handkerchief, but to clean his glasses, and he uses tissues for his nose. She says her nan always had tissue in her pocket for whatever it was needed for. It's amazing, these habits that we pick up. And sometimes it can completely different to, you know, other members of the family, like older members of the family. It's not always that, you know, you've picked up this habit because your mum did it or your dad did it or whatever else. Sometimes it's just because of something else completely in your life that's made you pick up this habit, and you know, it becomes something that you just always do. Always amazes me the multiple different reasons that people may have for something becoming a habit in their lives. Dragon Skies says, hi Rebecca, says they are back again. 1 hour in, they said maybe that I could do some prep for the de-kitting of my Paint Gem Minis, this is, by putting all the same DMC from all 3 kits into one bottle, leaving me with a lot less to do on camera. That is, you know, that's a good shout. I think, to be honest, by the time I've gone through and sort of checked them all, yeah, I mean, I do sometimes do a little bit of prep before videos, but it's not often a lot. I try to keep, you know, things, I suppose, rather real in relation to, you know, you guys seeing the things that I face and how I deal with it. And it does sort of depend. Like sometimes there may be something I need to purchase for like a tip and trick or to show you guys something. And sometimes I do pause videos, you know, part way through to finish something off. Like with the spare storage, you know, when I did some extra dividers and added in some, you know, show a couple of me cutting that piece, but you don't need to see it all. And with my Paint Gem preparation video, I did prepare one of the sets of kits with you so that you could see what I was doing, but I didn't do all 3. And that's when I trim up the canvases and put double-sided tape on the back of them, ready to go in the book. You don't need to see me do all 3 of them. It's tedious for me. Never mind for you guys watching too. So I paused the video and did some of that when it was not running. But yeah, I think by the time I've sort of would have gone through and sorted them all, I think the way I managed to dekit it was a fair way to do it. I did, you know, change up the way I dekitted. I dekitted by box, and I did make sure that I wasn't opening, you know, a bag to tip diamonds in more than once. I think dekitting the paint gem in a group of 3 is a lot better than like dekitting them one at a time, but all 3 in one video. But if I find that there's, you know, a lot that I'm noticing a lot of colours are the same, then it might be worth taking that time. But we'll see how we go. I'm actually trying to think. I'm trying to think when the kitting up of my paint gem paintings go up. I think it's actually after this video. It's after this video. Okay, because I do have a comment to make on one of the paint gem mini kits. The kitting up, I've actually done the kitting up video. Again, it was just one that I was sort of eager to do, and I knew it would be a long one. So teaming in doing a long one along with the fact that there's 6 videos up this week because of shop launch on Saturday, or just this Saturday just gone for you guys. The shop launch video, which I've not actually done yet, also needs doing. I did kit up my paint gem mini sets, which is a video coming up this week, and one of them is so much better than I thought it was. Like, it's such a nicer set than I thought it was. So yeah, hopefully I remember to tell you guys about that next week, because I know I haven't on Thursdays. Hang on, what order am I doing these in? No, the Thursday WIP and Waffle was also before that video goes up. See, I'm getting confused already. Confused. Right, let me get some diamonds in a pot. Darcy, she says, hi Rebecca. She says she cancelled her Amazon Prime because most of her orders don't arrive within the proposed day. She says now it arrives up to 3 days. Oh my goodness me. We do live in quite a, I suppose it's a high populated area. It's a town. So most of ours do arrive when they say, like next day. But I know there are some places that are a little bit further out there that don't get it as quick as it says. So I completely agree with not paying for it when it's not going to arrive that quick anyway. She says she can't justify getting charged for something that she barely uses. She says she's still trying to get the Audible stopped. She's trying to trim the fat from her unnecessary spending. Her income and outgoing are fairly close, and it doesn't leave much money for groceries. She's enjoying the spring days. She says summer for them is coming up really fast. Well, I agree. I mean, things like, you know, Audible, you can get things from a library. So if things are close, it is something that you can replace with something else. And Prime can just be replaced with Patience. So yeah, if money is tight, they are the sort of things that I class as, I suppose, a little bit more of a luxury than a necessity. And they'd be the first things I'd ditch as well. Sue says Weetabix was sold in Canada also. Oh good, I'm glad there is some other countries that know what I mean by Weetabix. Kids, I used to, my mum always says I was about 8 weeks old and I used to eat 2 Weetabix for breakfast. Always loved my Weetabix. Christina She says she's going to go check out the kitchen tour. Good, hopefully that will help you make sense, even if it's just interesting in the fact of, you know, it's a UK kitchen instead. And of course they all vary, UK kitchens, and it can completely depend on your house. I feel like our layout is, you know, a fairly decent sized kitchen in relation to the UK. I know some people don't have even house. It's really weird because in our sort of estate and area there are a lot of houses that are pretty much the same. So there is some semi-detached, which I live in, and there are some terrace houses, and the end terrace houses tend to be the same sort of layout as the semi-detached. And then there's just a mirror image of it. But it's amazing how many people have changed the houses in different ways over the years. I was actually looking on Rightmove, more because I wanted to sort of pinch a floor plan for our house, would you believe? For our downstairs, upstairs of the house, just so that I could, you know, because there's so many houses that are similar, it's sort of easy to get a floor plan without having to do all the measuring and do one myself. It was a lazy way of doing it. But it's amazing how many people have changed things within the houses in different ways. So this room that I'm in is a craft room. It's accessed from the outside, and well, it was until we got the conservatory, and now it's inside. But a lot of people, next door to us included, but a lot of people have actually knocked through from the kitchen, because the kitchen is the house wall to me, and they've made either a smaller sort of galley kitchen with a dining room added on the end, or they've moved the kitchen up and maybe done something different at the other end. I've not actually found a house on Rightmove yet that has kept this as a room, but also the other part of my kitchen. So the kitchen area in effect runs across the whole back of the house if you'd knocked it all the way through, which you can do. It's not got supporting walls or anything. But then there used to be in effect another room like this next to this one, which is where our oven and sides and things are now. And yeah, some people have sort of put the kitchen up this top end, or as I say, turn that bottom end into turn this bottom end into a dining room and knock through from the front room to give, you know, access. It's just amazing how loads of people have done things differently, and some people have knocked down the wall between the front room and the hallway. Again, that's not a supporting wall, so it's quite often a common one for people to do. So yeah, sometimes I go for a nosy on Rightmove just to see how they've altered the rooms and the walls in the house, to see if it's something that I want to do. But yeah, kitchens can completely vary. Like I know next door has more of a galley style kitchen, and then they have, you know, the end of it as a dining room. But I just have too much love for my craft room to ever think about knocking all the way through, even though it would be easy enough to do. Right, I think I've got all of those. I'm hoping I've got more of this colour. Oh, I do. Just checking, I do have more because I don't have much left in this pot at all. Okay, let's go for O. I'm just working again, just trying to sort of fill in this edge and sort of working my way across. Christina also says, she says, as far as for the sort of pick up tools, like picking up ABs, she said crayons. She says she is always using an old crayon for her specials and ABs. She finds it works great, she says, and she finds that she doesn't have to be as careful because you can press harder. Yeah, you press more than you probably can with a pickup pen. She says the painting is coming along very nicely, and she really is pretty with all of her blue markings. Yes, I do love the colours in this painting. Even when I tip them out into trays, I'm like, oh yes, love doing this one. In relation to the crayon, yes, I am going to do a bit of a tips and tricks video on it. I actually bought a box of crayons this last weekend, purposefully for trying them out for ABs. Now, I don't know if it was the ABs that I used or whether it was the crayon that I used. I found it did pick up ABs, but not all of them. Some of them it just didn't seem to want to get hold of. It also didn't pick them up as easily as the pickup pen did. Like, it's not quite as sticky. It's definitely something to use if, you know, you have them about, you have crayons about, you know, you don't want to be spending extra on something else. It's definitely has its place to be used, and I do sort of want to test it at some point with other ABs to see if it's just the coating on this painting, why it works better on some than others. But yeah, I did actually pick up a pack so I could do a tip and trick on using crayons, which is especially good for those that have just started diamond painting. You know, because there's all the pretty things to buy, so it's nice to know what you can potentially use from around the house. Diana, she says, Rebecca, she says she's not a frequent commenter, but after watching today's WIP and Waffle, she said she just wanted to say that she is glad that I am finding a good balance between enjoying my family time. Did I drop that letter O then? Sorry. I know full well there's going to be more. I think I've got to that tricky part. Let's try over here. Yeah, she says she's glad that I am finding a good balance between enjoying my family time and running this amazing business. She said that she's had the privilege of watching me build from scratch. She says she's been with me for several years. She says, to see what you've been able to do with this passion for this craft, she said, is amazing. Oh, thank you. Yes, I do feel so privileged that I've been able to, you know, to get to this point, even to the point that it's full time, even if it was sort of full time plus a bit. Yeah, I just love being able to work from home. You know, I'm not forced to go into the office when somebody decides I should. She says she understands that it can take time to find what is that perfect rhythm, and that will still give you a life you can enjoy with your family and be able to recharge. She says congratulations on it all. And she hopes to continue being able to see me prosper. Oh, thank you so much, Diana, and I really appreciate you taking the time to comment. But yeah, I feel so privileged to be able to do this, and I do, you know, absolutely love what I do, hence spending the time, you know, at the weekend doing the YouTube, as well as through the week. And then there was those times I tried just having a day in the week to sort of catch up on life, and do the sort of house part of things, and then tried to fit YouTube in a day at the weekend so that I could then have a day. So I was still getting 2 days, but they were split up. But then there was a point with the amount of things I wanted to get done, the amount of things that had arrived for Advent that needed me to do things. that I ended up being a bit swamped, and I stopped doing house stuff on a Wednesday, and we sort of tried to pick it up in the evening time instead. But now that that sort of part has calmed down, I do very much feel like this is the nice balance to have. This is the ideal world balance. And I have tried it in the past before with Luna. However, she was a lot smaller. She, you know, we were talking still in the puppy stages, and it didn't work. And, you know, it's my fault for just saying, oh, well, it's never going to work. You know, in my head, it was like, I've tried that, it didn't work. And actually sort of taking, I suppose, just a little bit of time to think and evaluate what would work best, what would be good, and giving it another go has turned out to be one of the best things ever. So I do, every now and then, I do try to give, or tell myself to just take time to think when I'm doing things, whether it be YouTube or whether it just be the way I prep some stock, you know, from the small things to the big things, to the way things are done around in the house, and go, okay, am I just doing this because this is what I normally do, or is this the best way to do it? So yeah, it was nice. It's worked out really well to be able to do that evaluation and go, actually, no, this would be better, and for it to work. It's also a big plus. So yeah, I'm really, really happy that it is working out, even if she does have a moment every now and then, and she's been quiet for a bit now, so she'll be fast asleep. It's finally given up and decided to have a kip on the couch. So yeah, it's working really well. User GD1YM blah blah. She says, we eating your Wheaties. Oh, okay, maybe that is that another cereal, I'm guessing. But yeah, eat your Weetabix. Maybe that's another phrase, we eat your Wheaties. Yeah, something that just gives you strength and energy. And yeah, it's just become an adopted phrase for us in the UK to say, oh, you've had your Weetabix this morning, when somebody's being especially productive. Kathy, she says, hi Rebecca. She says she loves the WIP and waffles. She says she's always had a runny nose due to allergies. So she's used a lot of Kleenex throughout her life. She says 2 years ago, she made her own hankies out of old t-shirts as a way of recycling and keeping stuff out of the landfill. She says, thanks for all that you do. I love that. Absolutely love it. Finding a new purpose for old things is always a good way to go. Corinne, she says she's so happy for me getting my weekends back. She says her nephew was interested in her paintings more. There's just one over there. Interested in her paintings more when he was 2 or 3, and he just randomly placed diamonds wherever he wanted, and making me mildly anxious at the same time. She said now that he's 4, he prefers sand. Her niece's idea of diamond painting is holding her pen. I'm just grabbing my next diamond. Holding her pen and basically whacking her painting with it. Oops. She says also rearranging the pots in her case and using them as shakers. She said, but she is only 2 and she gets snuggles because she sits on her knee to do it. Bless them both. Well, may it come back to them at some point in the future in their lives, and you can keep sharing the excitement. If not, just share the excitement of the paintings you've completed, because there's nothing like kids to give you praise. They're amazing at it. Okay, oh, I think I may have actually got all of those. Most of those were in here. So before I start reading the next comment, let's work on getting a diamond in here that I'm going to have a little bit more of. I don't want one that I've got too much of because I may need to stop in a mo to go and do post, but right, I'm going to get that number 5. I'm going to get that number 1. So just so you know, Kim, I'm filling in that number 1 from before because I have not spotted any more. Let's try putting it in the right place. So let's get those 2 down. And then, yeah, let's go for this tick because I'm always over cautious on my timing to get post ready. But I do actually have quite a bit of time. I can probably still do another half hour or so. So let's do another 20-25 minutes. Probably my battery will need changing by then, and then I can come back either later today or tomorrow, depending on if I've got comments left. Because I keep thinking I am here to do this whole section, but of course I got caught up on comments last week, so I don't expect it to be as long as previous weeks. Though I feel like I do have the time more to sort of, you know, go with how long it's just going to be as long as it's going to be for this WIP and Waffle, which is why I uncover a lot more as well, so that I can just go with the flow and we get done what we get done. Lady Dax, she says she hopes I have a good birthday. She says they have a new fur baby. She did comment on Thursday's Waffle and in the group, she says, but she's so excited. I love it. She said she thought she'd mention it on here too. She said he is such a beautiful and gentle boy. She can't understand why his owners threw him out and didn't want him back. She says he's neutered and chipped, about 7 years old, and he's black and white. So this is an additional cat that they've taken in. She says she's so glad that he found their garden to camp in. Well, sounds like it is the best thing all the way round, because now you get to give him love and get to give him his forever home. Mysterious Days, she said, speaking of Advent, love the Christmas talk. She says, are you planning on releasing it early for budgeting purposes this year? And do you have any ideas towards a diamond painting for Advent? She says, if it's not too spoilt, she said, it's not even June, and here's the beginning of the Advent talk. She also, I will answer your question, but she says, she also says, please tell me. She says she is not the only one who has already kitted up a June event kit. She's doing Hugo and Hage from Diamond Art Club. She's also using that for Diamond Painting for Pets event in June as well. I haven't kitted up my June painting yet, though it is in my schedule to kit that up this month. I think it's in a week or two, might even be next week. Anyway, it's not this upcoming week, like it might be the next batch of filming week. It might be the week after. But it is a couple of weeks before the June events, so that it gives everybody else time to get theirs. In relation to Advent and painting for December event, we are working on the paintings for December event. We have been on and off for quite a while now. We are working with Diamond Art Studio again. Because Sam is just amazing at designing pictures. I have given her a few tricky things for this year's. So it is going to be a little bit different, but I think still fun for everybody. The diamond painting for the December Advent event we release in September. So that will be a September release. That will give plenty of time for it to arrive abroad, wherever it needs to go, depending on, of course, who's purchased it. We release it in September so that people can get it ready for the December event and have plenty of time for it to arrive, just to fix anything, if anything goes wrong, like all of that. September, we've found, is a nice time for that. In relation to the 24-day Advent, that will likely again be July. I know last year we did the pre-order just so that people could, you know, relax that they'd got one. And we weren't necessarily planning on doing it this year. However, so many people mentioned last year that they preferred it because they were able to budget and they didn't mind it turning up early. That we're going to do the same sort of thing this year. So it will be July time. We will let you guys know. Of course, we've got June Waffle, so I'll be able to let you know as we know. But it may start shipping out sooner. It may start shipping out in August rather than September that we thought last year, because we said September last year. We actually started shipping it out the last week in August because, you know, we had so many. But with us then, you know, releasing the kit in September, there's a lot that goes on in the background to prepare that kit. So we're thinking July for pre-order, for August to start shipping. So you guys will need to keep it safe, but it won't be before July. And I can say that with a categoric fact because our accounts are completed at the end of June. That's when our end of year accounts are sort of due. So we sort of keep that as our divide between Christmas stuff that's not getting shipped out till later. If we started doing pre-orders for things that haven't shipped yet, it just, yeah, it's not fun. Plus, we have to do a stock count ready for our end of year. So it is a lot easier to just say, this is Advent, as in, this is what we've spent, this is everything. And not have to, you know, start working out how many we've got compared to how many we've sold compared to, you know, it's not worth going there. So July is plenty early enough, I think, for an Advent calendar. I know a lot of places it's more like, you know, October when they start advertising and shipping them, but we do listen, and you know, people preferred the July to be able to budget, so we're going to stick with the July sort of time for some sort of pre-order, but it won't be as long waiting for it to ship, which gives us a chance to sort of clear the decks or get shipped out a load of Advent, you know, test our postie in the heat of August if we get any, and then, you know, we can flip our main concentration onto the painting for the Advent event, which needs less preparation than the Advent calendar because, of course, they all need individually packing up. And that is not yet started. I'm hoping to actually start that soon. I'm hoping to start that during June Waffle. So yeah, it will be done early because I know people like to budget, but it won't be done until bare minimum July. That will be the earliest just because of our accounting. It's a lot better for us to get our books all submitted for the end of the year before we then offer the pre-order. So I hope that makes sense for everybody. Right, my battery is flashing. I do still have quite a lot of comments. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick this WIP and Waffle up for my tomorrow. And yeah, we will continue this on, and this WIP and Waffle will be as long as it needs to be. So yeah, speak to you in a bit. Hi, I'm back again. So it's a new day for me, same day for you. And yeah, let's get continuing on with this diamond painting, see how far we get according to comments, questions, etc. I have been able to move this up at least a little bit, even though I'm still sort of zoomed in. So do you know what, let's start. I was going to start on some blue, but let's actually start with a bit of 310. Let's get these eyes done, and then I don't have any more 310 to do again. I've got my washer on again, so do excuse me while I get some washing on the line while we've got a nicer day again. But yeah, CD Mathers says, hi Rebecca. She says she loves to watch you, and nice to see how much diamond painting on the WIP and chat. So yeah, we've had quite a few sort of longer WIP and chats recently, which I've really enjoyed being able to do, to be fair, even if I do get interrupted from time to time. I was up and at it pretty sharpish this morning. Had a guy out to have a look at our printer, not our 3D printer, our paper printer, or one of our paper printers, should I say. We now have two, which is amazing. I love having a backup, that is for sure. So yeah, had somebody out to look at that this morning, sort of got me going, got me up and at him, though it did take a whole lot longer than I expected. So I feel like it just became my wake up time, and then I've just had to play catch up on admin and everything. But hey, I'm back on track for the day. I'm back on track. The wash is on. And of course, and Luna is settled. She didn't seem to want to move even when I was moving about making a brew before, because of course somebody has been to her house. So it's tired her out, which I suppose is a plus that I can take. I knew I'd seen another triangle up there somewhere. It just caught it out the corner of my eye. Normally this isn't a symbol that I like to necessarily do this early. It's not one of the clearest ones to see, but I think my brain sort of told me this morning to start, you know, finishing up some of this section so that I'm working on a bit of a lesser section. So I imagine I will find one of these later that I've missed, because it's definitely a little bit of a harder symbol to see. So I just keep getting one poised on my pen, rechecking all these pale parts. Oh, I did think she was settled. She's just heard Lewis moving upstairs. So she's now shouting at him. Just to test matters. It's because I spoke about her. That's why. Right, we'll see if she's calmed down or not. Cross fingers. I cannot wait to get my nails done this weekend. 4 weeks has been far too long. Okay, Mysterious Days. She says none of her grandparents or parents have ever carried a handkerchief. She says, By the time she was around, she said she only had her maternal grandpa mother. Her parents had a 30-year age gap, and she was a miracle baby. So a pregnancy that was considered geriatric for a woman. You've got to love the titles they give us women sometimes. She says she's the youngest by, at the minimum, 20 years than her siblings. So she grew up as an only child, and sees them more as aunt and uncle figures, because of course she's not grown up really in the same household as them in the same way. She says, derailed thought train aside, she said instead of a hanky, she learned that anything disposable can become something to blow your nose on. She says restaurant napkin, toilet paper, paper towels, she says all acceptable. She says, ironically, we are picky on the brand of tissues that we use, but anything works in a pinch. When you've got generic sinus issues and allergies to pollen, having tissues beside me, she says, at all times is necessary. I can imagine. There is instances where it is far better to just grab any form of paper type product. Do you remember that old toilet paper we used to have at school that was like tracing paper, that you had to screw it up and then sort of flatten it out before using it so that it would get just that little bit softer? But yeah, when you've got a runny nose, you just need something, anything, something to make it go away. Maria Angel, she says, what type of dog is Luna? She says she has a Chihuahua and her name is Leah. She said pets are so loyal. She says they melt my heart. And her doggy also sits everywhere with her. Luna is a cockapoo. So yeah, we sort of, we did like a quick research on the breed, because we were looking for a hypoallergenic dog. We have quite a few of us that are allergic to cats. There is a slight allergy to Luna in a couple of the kids, but like not a huge amount, like not that it affects their everyday life. It can just affect them a little bit if they're a bit, too close to her for a prolonged period of time. But yeah, one thing that never came up on the initial search when you sort of, checking one breed against another sort of thing to determine what breed of dog you're looking for, it doesn't come up how much cockapoos bark. Until you then get into the looking into the nitty gritty once you've got the dog and you're looking at, the little quirks that they may have, and how you can help with that, with training and stuff like that. And it was, it must have been a good couple of months before it came up and somebody just, actually said the truth. They are barkers. And I was like, oh, great. And yeah, she's definitely a barker. But yeah, she's a cockapoo. Her mum, she's cockapoo B, apparently. Her mum is a cockapoo, and her dad is a miniature poodle. But apart from her barking, she can be an absolute angel most of the time. Though she is too nosy for her own good. That's for sure. Right, let me get this triangle. I definitely have quite a lot of this, especially over in this first part. She says, by the other hand, she says she hopes the rain to fall every day because they have the hot of 30 to 38 degrees Celsius, and she can't handle it right now. She said it's curious that we wish the opposite. Yes, but the thing is, we have not had any sort of 30-degree days at all. Like the day that this is being posted, we are predicted to have a high of 21, and that is the warmest all year. Like that is the first time it has hit the 20s at all. So I suppose when you have too much of anything weather-wise, you just end up dreaming of something else and a change. Kim, she said she had her eyebrows waxed last week. She says she's used to that discomfort. Yes, I'm due to have mine done on Saturday as well with my nails, which I say I cannot wait for. She says suddenly, she says her girl slapped wax all over her upper lips. She said, wowzer, oh my goodness me, that is such a sensitive area, especially if it's not necessarily being done all the time, you know, and got easier. That I can imagine, that just brings tears to my eyes even thinking about it. She says that was a surprise. She says since she has never done that before. She says she looked like a freaking clown for 2 days. She says red and irritated skin. She says she warned hubby that she would not be going to church if she still looked like a clown on Sunday, though it was better by then. She says she doesn't wear makeup and it was too noticeable for too long. Yeah, see, I don't tend to wear makeup either. So I can imagine the postie would be looking at me extremely weirdly if I ended up doing that. It's part of my trying to get sort of laser treatment on my legs. She is also doing sort of the upper lip area, so hopefully they'll all just disappear forever. She says she's not sure if she is willing to experience that again. It definitely does not sound nice. I know it's supposed to get easier, but how long it takes for it to get easier is the big fat question in this instance, because I can imagine it is quite a few times that it is, you know, more than tears to your eyes before things calm down to what you'd call an acceptable level, till the skin toughens up to deal with the said pain. She says sympathies for those who have fun with wax to get ready for summer. Yeah, I used to work with somebody who always got her legs waxed, and like over time it just got so much better for her and like so much finer and stuff like that. But I am trying for the gone for good route, because that will be so much better for me. Kim also says, she says I tell hubby that there is always laundry to be done. She says most people do laundry with clothes on. She says me included. I do imagine that most people are dressed when they do laundry. She says, therefore, there is always dirty clothes. Yes, laundry, washing is definitely a never-ending task. That's for sure. I did 2 loads yesterday. I cleared mine and hubby's washing basket and the washing basket upstairs that's used by 2 of the kids. I emptied those yesterday apart from a set of bedding. So I was like, oh, do a set of bedding today and then I'll do the last washing basket that's used by Megan, pull anything out and I should be on top of it. And then maybe I'll do on the nicer day, on Thursday, I'll strip my bed wash it and put the sheets back on and have that joy. But no, there was a couple of extra towels and a load of extra clothes, you know. I mean, to be fair, one of them was mine, so I can't really complain that other people in the house have showers and change of clothes and all the rest of it, but it is never ending. Never ending. But provided the weather helps out, I don't mind when I can just dry it, bring it in, put it away. I don't mind washing then. I just don't like it when it's floating around the house. Right, I think I'm nearly done with this. Oh no, a couple more up there, hiding under my clip. Have I got them all? Just doing a quickish scan. I've definitely got quite a few more sort of bitty blues to do, but I think I'm going to switch to some of this yellow first. Fill in some of these and then move on to blue, depending on where I'm up to on comments, of course. Teresa, she says, when you want to cut a painting down, she says, before placing drills, she says, put washi tape directly on the canvas and cut on the outside of the washi tape. She says, then you have a border. She says, and you can cut the washi tape off when you're done. That is an idea, because I do like to have a border. Though the thing is, then if I've still got to cut the washi tape off when I'm done, then I think I'm still sort of cutting the canvas the same way I would be if I left it. Though that would be really handy if you're cutting your canvas smaller than the actual design. So if you know you've got a frame that it's going to go in and you don't need to put diamonds on it all, then washi tape would be a great way to sort of cover up the symbols that you don't need to do. And you know, for any reason you change your mind while doing the canvas, maybe you decide to get a bigger frame or get a different mount, you can still probably peel that washi tape off and still place diamonds down. So you sort of give yourself that little scope of error. Rose says, thank you for the great WIP and Waffle. You're welcome, Rose. Thank you for being here. I love how many people sort of join in with the conversation or even just watch and enjoy the company in WIP and Waffles. Definitely helps me to feel like I'm not talking to myself, which I also do. I just don't make as much sense when I do that. Right, that's all the yellow. So let's have a look at filling in some of these gaps back to a blue. So I'm doing the symbol F. Jerry, she says, hi Rebecca, she said, it was my comment, she said, that you replied to on Facebook saying that somebody must have had their Weetabix. She says, in the US, she said, it's the same as somebody having their Wheaties. Ah, that's where it came from. She says, Wheaties is a cereal here in the US. That has wheat and bran mixed together into a flake. She says they feature prominent athletes on the box. There we go. At least we have something that makes sense to you guys. So if you ever hear us say they must have had their Weetabix, it's the same as they must have had their Wheaties. I like it. It's amazing how sort of some companies, especially ones that have been around for a while and have had that era of, you know, like television marketing, you know, when we used to sit through the adverts and we used to pick up all the phrases and stuff as kids, more so, you know, than maybe adults do, because they, you know, potentially are thinking of other things while watching TV, whereas as kids, the adverts are just as exciting as the TV shows. It's amazing how, you know, things, say, are sort of picked up and carried on, and people know what they're talking about. Cheryl, she says, sorry for the following novel. She says that is my comment. You're actually not that bad, Cheryl. There is a lot of words, but I've seen worse. She says, she says she lives in southwestern Oklahoma. She said, and summers here are hard. She said it doesn't rain much, but it gets really humid. That's the hard part. Humidity is awful. Just makes it yucky. She says, and temperatures between late June and mid-August are regularly over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. She said she has asthma, and once it gets up over 100, she said it hurts to breathe outside. Yes, and that will be the humidity. It is not our friend. She said her lungs feel like they're on fire, which, yeah, I'm not surprised. The humidity is not a help to asthma or any sort of, you know, if you have a chest infection at the time or anything like that. It's just disgusting is what it is. She says too, she says she loves introducing kids to diamond painting. She said she is a special educations teaching assistant at an elementary school. She said, and she introduced the students she works with to it 2 Christmases ago. She says, and they love it. She actually talked to her principal, and she gets to start a diamond painting club next school year. She says she's going to spend the next few months collecting supplies. That sounds amazing. Absolutely amazing. Sounds like so much fun, and if they enjoy it, yeah, it is just such a nice, calming, relaxing hobby. It started with a H. Obviously, this is the kind of day that I'm going to have today. Kaz, she says, hi Rebecca. She says she hopes that I am keeping well. She said, happy birthday for the Saturday we just had. She said she hopes that I had a great day, which I did. Thank you. She says she is loving the progress on the painting. Yeah, it seems to have really come on over the last couple of weeks a little bit more. I think I have had a couple of evenings where I've been able to sort of get a decent chunk of time in on it. I've got 3 more rows of cover paper after this fat section is done. So I am actually hoping that I will be able to get this finished before June Waffle. Would be nice to get this finished, de-kitted, and my next one kitted up. But we will just see how much time I get to do it over the next week or so, and then get a de-kitting and a kitting up finished or put into my little schedule. But I'm absolutely loving all the colours, even if there are some parts that are very confetti, and I cursed myself for missing the symbols. Aaliyah, she's got a couple of comments. So first one, she says, on the topic of maths, She said, oh, glue dot's getting a bit sticky. She says she can do algebra and Pythagoras theorem. She says, but she can't stand the nth term or work out the sequence. I wouldn't have a clue. Would not have a clue. It has been so long since I've done any sort of form of high school maths that it is just all left my head completely. Just spotted one that I've missed up there. But hey, I knew I'd end up missing a couple of this one, especially because I'm working over such a large area. There is always likely to be the odd one that I miss. She also says, as a child, she had a jigsaw puzzle with a fox and pups in the wood with the den. She says she did it so many times that she could do it in 45 minutes. She said it was a 500 piece and she was probably about 8 to 12 years old. The memories of things sort of grabbing my attention when I was younger, and I would just do it on repeat and repeat and repeat. So many things I would do it to. So many things. Doro be punked. She says, hi Rebecca. She says she is happy for me getting more sort of work-life balance, she said, in your life. She says, as a self-employed person, she says that is the worst struggle. She says, keeping your business running and also not letting family down, etc. She says she's working in the company that her brother founded a couple of years ago. She says, so she knows what I'm going through. She says she got some of her diamond painting done while listening to my waffle. She said she likes the longer waffles and she's looking forward to the June waffle. She's also starting to think about what painting to do. Yes, June waffle will be so much fun. I'm really enjoying sort of being able to do that in the day as well. Sort of, you know, just come in, do it for the next day, get it all sorted. It will sort of be a bit of a daily task then. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, filming videos in the week is definitely working. There's still, I'm quite often, I'm forever sort of tweaking what I do throughout the day, trying to make sure that I sort of cover all the bases. I've got a nice little routine when it comes to admin and stuff, you know, getting quicker at that, sort of keeping on top of it just a smidge each day. Like emails, I tend to reply to those daily, Monday to Friday anyway. But like all the other sort of stuff in the background that can mount up, yeah, I've got a nice little routine going with that now. And I've recently added something to sort of my daily schedule, which is to do something towards what I'm calling a special project. It's not necessarily like something big and special and wow and all that. I'm just calling it my special project because I have so many ideas that float around in my head of things that I'd like to do. You know, whether it just be a revamp of an existing product, a new product, something completely different that's not even a product, that's just, you know, something I'd like to be able to do / add on, you know. Yeah, so there's loads of things like that that I'd love to do. But it's always when I find the time. Isn't it that good old chestnut? The when I find the time chestnut. And that chestnut often doesn't appear or when it does, you know, you've already thought of something else, or you don't focus on what you should, you focus on something a bit more exciting. So yeah, I've started adding myself a daily task called working on my special project. Now, that could be something I could work on for an hour in the day. It could be something that I literally do a 5-minute task. But it's something towards one of my special projects. So maybe I need to order something, or order some examples, or, you know, collect some information so that I can then write what it is that I want to write. Like, I want to do some blog posts and things. I'd like to do some on the Advent, you know, so that there's sort of like a daily, my thoughts on stuff that people can go back to, or they've got a quick reference instead of having to watch through or listen to my videos again to get that information. That's something I'd like to do. But I know that December gets crazy, so it needs to be written well before December. So that's like one of my special projects that's not so much a product. But then I have got some that are products that I want to revamp, or products that I want to bring in, but there's different things that I need to do for it. So yeah, I'm sort of setting myself a task to do something towards a special project, and then each day that something will vary in amount depending on what else I've got in the day, depending on how close maybe I am to finishing a project. You know, if I'm closer to finishing, I might be able to spend a bit more time on it. But yeah, I've added that into my sort of daily tasks and daily routine, with the idea that, you know, it will stop floating around in my head and actually get into practice, because I'm doing something small. Because otherwise it just doesn't get done at all. Carrie, she said she loves the mega WIP and Waffle. She says she loves hearing Luna and she doesn't mind the barking at all. Well, that's good. She seems to have calmed down and gone back to sleep on the couch, but I've said it now. We'll see if that stays true. She says both her dogs have vet appointments this week. She said her youngest is on Thursday. And it's just his annuals. She says, but her 13-year-old has a spot on his eyeball that just popped up that they're worried about. So the vet got us in right away. She says tomorrow, which, as she typed, this was Tuesday. She says, fingers crossed, it's nothing bad. I hope that all went well and everything went as well as, you know, you expected, or better than you expected. And I've just realised there's a couple of times I've mentioned in today's video about it being 21 degrees and said the day this video goes up, ignore me, it's not the day this video goes up, because this is the Sunday WIP and Waffle, not the Thursday one. I've done that one. Maybe daytime rambling when I've been up and at 'em first thing this morning sorting out printer issues isn't the best way to go about it. Anyway, she also says, you may have discussed this before. She says, but she's wondering if I can explain how I put putty in my multi-placer. She says she's wanting to order some and try it, but she's not sure how to use it. She says, to the person who loves Winnie the Pooh, she said she's the same with Eeyore. She loves him so much. She calls him her spirit animal. So putty, I put it in my pen the same way that I would put wax in. So like when you stab the wax with your pen, that's what I do with the putty. Though the putty is a bit more thicker and stodgier than wax. So I personally will stab the blob of putty with my multi-placer, which will of course be longer, and then I will start pushing it through, sort of peel off the wax coat batting and let it push through a bit, and then when I take it out I'll then tidy up and straighten up the edges. That's how I do it, though you can sort of, you know, just roll it up into like little sausages and put it in and push it in that way, but I tend to do it like you would do with the pink wax, and just sort of stab my multi-placer into it, and then tidy it up afterwards, taking off any excess putty, or, you know, taking bits off and rolling them and sticking them to another part of it. But I'm sure many people also will sort of pull a section off and roll it like a sausage, and then lay it into their multi-placer and build that up as it's needed. There's a couple of different ways, but it's the same sort of consistency as like blue tack, sticky tack for sticking up posters. So there's a few different ways that you could pop it into your multi-placer. Jerry, she says she remembers, she says when she would call her grandmother, she would ask her what she was doing, and her reply was always, "Oh, I'm just puttering." She said it didn't matter if she was sitting and watching TV, she was always puttering. She said she was from Arkansas. She's actually put how you pronounce Arkansas. I'm okay with that one. Don't ask me why. That one's different to the other state, but I shall not name, but has an M and lots of S's in it. But yeah, Arkansas, for some reason, I can do that one. She would say that to anyone, she said, who called or came by. Well, I get where she's coming from with that one, because puttering can involve sitting and doing a bit of something, whether it be watching TV or, in my case, diamond painting. The difference is then sort of, it's not like you've settled down and that's all you're doing for a good few hours, or at least it's not in sort of my pottering type stage. I feel like when I'm pottering, I'm always a bit more poised to get up and do something, whether it be, you know, the wash is finished and I need to then get up and do that. Like, I will stop diamond painting, get up, do that, then go back to diamond painting. Whereas in an evening, it tends to be more, right, okay, I'm diamond painting. And I may get up to get a drink, but it's not, it's timed by when I want to rather than by when something else is finished, if that makes sense. So yeah, I sort of just treat it a little bit differently. If I'm in the pottering mood, then I'm more poised and ready to go with things. Donna, she says, hi, she says, are you still using glue dots, or are you now using your new putty? I use both. So I like to use putty in multi-placers, but I still like my glue dots in the single placers. I find that glue dots do last a bit longer, but I find them a lot easier to use in the single placer, and putty a lot easier to use in the multi-placer. So yeah, you can put glue dots into a multi-placer, but I personally, I haven't fully tried the glue strips. I must say I haven't given them probably a good go, or a good sort of decent amount of time to sort of mess with them, because I had putty on hand and I chose the easy option, because I often diamond paint later in an evening when I am not in the mood for trying things out in the same way. But yeah, I haven't tried the glue strips in a multi-placer, which I am told work really well. And they were requested, which is why we have that option. But yeah, I find that the single glue dots, while you can sort of combine them and get them into a multi-placer, the putty is just easier. So I currently use both. And I think now I have sort of the best of both worlds with it, really, which is always good. Okay, I've got another batch up there. I was like, oh, I'll just do these couple over here and then I'll do the chunk of it over there. And no, I have a load more. More tucked over here than I thought. Right, have I got all of those? Yes, now we're going to my chunk. Grey Legrand, she says she's hitting pause. She says, regarding Luna's bark, I turned around and said that one was either a bird or a leaf. She says, my mum has a little dog. She calls him Sir Barks a lot. He is always looking for something to bark at. Said falling leaves included. See, if she's in the garden and there's a leaf blowing about, she is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine if there is a leaf in the garden. That's where they're supposed to be. That was just Hobby phoning on a catch-up when he was between jobs. So where was I? Oh yeah, Luna barking. So a leaf outside, she has not much problem with at all. Like occasionally she'll chase them if they blow in the wind. But if one goes on the conservatory roof, oh my goodness me. It's a bit like she gets worse when the post is put through the door rather than somebody knocking to hand over a parcel. Yeah, she's a lot worse when letters are posted through the door. It's like, that's her, I'm offended type thing that's going on. Grey Legrand also says, she says, regarding Lego, she said she is one that builds them and then takes them apart. Sorry, I'm just going to get another colour because this is the last comment. So let me get another colour while I finish up on this one. Yeah, she says she's one that builds them and takes them apart. She bags each element and labels them. She says she did that with her succulents kit. She took the kit home to visit her parents and left the succulents for her to enjoy. She said she will be getting them back. And just between us, she says, let's hope she puts the correct pieces in the corresponding bags. That's the thing, when you're that organised and you put them all in the right bags and the right bits, and then somebody else doesn't. She says her mum, she said, loves to build and display, and she loves the botanical kits. She says she also got her Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy, and she is gonna love it. She said it's for her birthday. Yeah, I do think that Groot one is pretty cute. I do actually have a succulents kit still to do. Maybe I will include that in my pottering this weekend. We shall see. I also have the promise of the new Milky Way kit, which I think I may have mentioned already. That is sort of a birthday promise Lego treat for me. It's just not available for pre-order yet. I've got to wait a couple of weeks until I can get a pre-order in. And then, yeah, I'll have great fun building that one. Maybe I'll show you guys that one before I build it at some point. But yeah, very much looking forward to it. Right, that is me reaching the end of the comments on last week's WIP and Waffle. So we're going, well, up until, of course, the day I'm filming it. So if anybody's left any a few days later, I will pick them up in next week's. But yeah, very happy with sort of the progress on this one. I actually only have, maybe I do have 3 or 4 in this main bit of blue that needs doing here. Maybe a 5th one if I include that colour. But yeah, there's probably about 10 or 12 more colours to do out of the 56. But it won't take long, I don't think, to sort of finish up this section now, because most of it is scattered. So join me next week, next Sunday. I will be continuing my work on this one, and I'll be somewhere up here. I have 3 rows of cover paper left. And I may, what I often do with paintings is I'll do this row of cover paper, but then when I get to this one, I often like to do 2 up instead. And I do rows of 2 rather than potentially peeling off 2 this way. It's just a different way to sort of end the painting. But yeah, thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll speak to you all again soon.